This is Adam Gate, you're now watching Sport Icons.
Okay, so a couple of days ago, about 3 days ago actually, I did a poll here on YouTube in the community section. Now, firstly, I understand not everybody gets to see it. It literally has to pop up to be recommended to you for you to see it. I don't know why it is, but that's the way it is. Now, just under 8,000 of you took to the vote, so firstly, thank you very much. And more importantly, thank you to those who dropped a comment in the comment section of that particular poll, because that's what I was more interested in, to get people's thoughts around whether or not, actually, we get straight into the question. If Tyson Fury refuses to fight Dillian Whyte next, i.e. vacates the belt, allows franchise status, or retires, is it a duck? So the comment section was a lot of people who, as in the 24% of you said, no, it's not a duck if Tyson Fury avoids Dillian Whyte. A lot of people are talking about motivation of Tyson Fury. Now, firstly, I think that's a built-in excuse for him, basically, to give him a pass for not fighting Dillian Whyte. I mean, why would he not want to fight Dillian Whyte? Is there a bigger fight out there for him that's available on the table right now? Joshua and Usyk are tied up, so where else is he going to go? He either fights Dillian Whyte next, or he vacates the belt. So when you talk about motivation, you have to pretty much admit then that if he's not motivated, it means that he's not really up for the fight, and he feels if he fought Dillian Whyte, then he'll lose. Is there another way of putting it? Again, is it a built-in excuse that if Dillian Whyte was to fight Tyson Fury and defeat him, then the reason Tyson Fury lost is because he's not motivated? I think people are getting in built-in excuses. Now, will this fight go ahead? I think it will. I don't think Tyson Fury will avoid Dillian Whyte. I don't at all. And as I said before, there isn't a big fight out there for him financially. Now, Tyson Fury, he's got like another week left to negotiate with Alexander Usyk for undisputed. It's flogging a dead horse, okay? Because we know Joshua has activated the rematch. There can be no talks between Fury and Usyk, okay? So we know what's going to happen next. In about a week's time, the WBC will order Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte to have a 30-day period to negotiate that fight. If they can't negotiate within 30 days, firstly, they could ask for an extension if talks are pretty good. If not, then they take it to purse bid. For those of you who don't understand with purse bid, you can have any promoters out there in the world placing a bid to host this fight, to promote this fight. Of course, you can talk, say, here in the UK, you could have Eddie Hearn in his Matchroom. You could have Frank Warren in his Queensbury. You can have Ben Shalom and Sky Sports. You can have Bob Arum at Top Rank overseas. You can have the PBC. You can have Golden Boy. You can have anybody you could think of can place a bid on this fight. And of course, whoever puts in the most amount of money then wins the event. Now, if it does get to that point and Tyson Fury, for example, his team doesn't win the purse bid, Eddie Hearn wins the purse bid. Therefore, Eddie Hearn, DAZN, Dillian Whyte then own the card. So they will choose where the fight's going to be. They will put on the undercard that they choose, all that kind of stuff. So Fury pretty much just has to go along with whatever script that they put out. Will Tyson Fury then go, nah, jog on and vacate the belt? Possibly, and he may do that out of spite for Eddie Hearn, maybe. He may do that out of principle, I don't know. But ultimately, a lot of people in the comment section of that poll were saying how pretty much they'll give Tyson Fury a pass if he doesn't fight Dillian Whyte. Now, firstly, if he doesn't fight Dillian Whyte, shouldn't you be mad about that? Because if you think Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight currently, and he may well be, then surely he needs to pad up his resume a little bit more. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think that Dillian Whyte is an incredible name on his resume. If he was to fight and defeat Dillian Whyte, for me, that would be the second best name on his resume. And for those who say Dillian Whyte is easy work, and I know I covered it in the previous video, if you say that Dillian Whyte is easy work and he's no good and he's just a version of a Derek Chisora and Tyson Fury will play with him, okay, so if Tyson Fury beats Dillian Whyte, should we not give Tyson Fury credit? If he struggles even a little bit with Dillian Whyte, should we start saying how Tyson Fury's on the slide then? As Dillian Whyte's no good, right? For me, I take the complete opposite view to that. I think that Dillian Whyte, he's not a one-trick pony like Deontay Wilder. All Fury had to do was get out of the way of one right hand. That's all he had to do. Don't get me wrong, it's not as easy as it is that I'm saying right now. Of course it's not. Wilder has a very deadly right hand. But if that one-trick pony in Deontay Wilder can land that one punch, what makes you think Dillian Whyte can't land huge punches himself with both his hands? Tyson Fury on the slide? Maybe. He doesn't seem to have his timing in that there. And again, I mean, maybe some of that is down to his inactivity, maybe. But for me, I think it's a mega fight and I'm looking forward to it. But for those who say it's about motivation and pretty much giving Tyson Fury a pass for not fighting Dillian Whyte, that's just, for me, that's fanboyism right there. You just don't want anybody to think that Tyson Fury would avoid Dillian Whyte. Well, he's avoided him before. Why wouldn't he avoid him now? And to say that it's motivation, again, it's just a built-in excuse to say, yeah, go on Tyson and vacate your WBC belt, hand that belt over to Dillian Whyte, and go fight whoever you want to fight. Go fight Usyk for undisputed. Well, you can't, because either he fights Dillian Whyte, defeats Dillian Whyte, and keeps his WBC, then he can move on to undisputed. If he has to vacate the belt, well, what good is he to a Joshua or an Usyk winner? Because the winner of Joshua Usyk is going to want to fight whoever's holding that WBC belt, whether that be Fury or Dillian Whyte. It's about undisputed. So how could Fury not be motivated for that? Again, is it a built-in excuse that should Dillian Whyte defeat Tyson Fury, oh, well, he wasn't motivated? Again, giving excuses. Is it built-in excuses? Is that what it is? Maybe it is. And for me, I can't think of any other reason as to why people would talk about motivation. Don't get me wrong. Fury does need to be motivated. He does. A non-motivated Fury is a vulnerable Tyson Fury, for sure. But trust me, he knows how dangerous Dillian Whyte is. Dillian Whyte is the same guy who's, well, I mean, these guys have a bit of history, albeit some years ago where Dillian Whyte was apparently lacing up Tyson Fury and knocked out Tyson Fury or knocked him down multiple times in sparring. Hey, nothing wrong with that. It happens. No fighters out there have a good day at the office every time they spar. No one does. But is that a mental edge towards Dillian Whyte? Maybe. Again, Dillian, he's not one of these guys who's just going to go in there to lose. He doesn't care about the money. He's got money. Dillian isn't flamboyant with his money. I mean, you don't see him parading around on the cribs on MTV and whatever, showing off his mansions. He doesn't drive around in his Ferraris or show off a collection of Porsches and Lamborghinis and wearing expensive gold watches, all that kind of thing. No, he's not. Dillian Whyte is very, very smart with his money. Very, very smart with his money. He lives the fighter's lifestyle right now. You don't see Dillian Whyte walking around wearing Versace. Okay, you don't see it. Don't get me wrong, of course, he will indulge himself from time to time, as he's fully entitled to, as anybody who's earned a decent amount of money should. But this isn't about money for Dillian. It never has been. This is about that WBC belt. He wants that WBC belt. You'll see a more fired up, dangerous Dillian Whyte than you've ever seen before against Tyson Fury. And again, if you want to make comparisons, say how Dillian Whyte is very similar to Derek Chisora, I don't think you watch enough boxing. I really don't. I really, really don't. And again, people talk about how because Tyson handled, say, Chisora better than Dillian Whyte handled Chisora, even though Dillian Whyte knocked out Chisora. I mean, what's that got to do with Fury versus Whyte? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. But to use the word motivation for me is a built-in excuse. It is a built-in excuse. Now, I don't think Tyson Fury will avoid Dillian Whyte. If he does, then we'll talk about it then. And I ain't going to be kind about it. I'll tell you that right now. I won't be kind about it. I want to see this fight. I want to see Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte. I don't want to see Dillian Whyte get the WBC belt via email. I don't want to see that. Dillian Whyte don't want that either. He wants to legitimately take it off Tyson Fury. But history will tell us Tyson Fury likes to proclaim a lot. So if he just vacates the belt, he can then say, well, I never lost it in the ring. And that's what his fans will go with. I never lost it in the ring. He's a paper champion. He never defeated me. Well, again, my answer will be, well, whose fault's that? It's not like he wasn't trying to fight you, because he was. Anyway, for me, I think the motivation word is a built-in excuse. I really do. But hopefully Tyson Fury does fight Dillian Whyte next. And if he goes in there and beats him up and destroys him and makes it easy night's work, then he does. Then congratulations to him. And again, a bonus, I said it before, I can no longer talk about Dillian Whyte not getting his world title shot anymore. So at least it's going to shut me up one way or another, isn't it? But anyway, my thoughts, you drop me yours, click thumbs up, subscribe, catch you on the next video.